Alright, what is going on, everyone? Hope everyone's having a great day. I decided to make this quick video about what Bitcoin is doing. As you know, Bitcoin is now above $50,000. And so I want to make this video to present you some critical facts about Bitcoin's previous cycles, all the way from its inception to where it's at now. And I want to show you some things that Bitcoin has done every previous cycle that it has deviated from in this current cycle that we're in. And as well as show you some mind-blowing data points that could potentially give us the next top for Bitcoin. Now I know that sounds pretty hard to believe, but just let me show you the information that I've found and let you make up your own mind about what you think might happen. So first off, as you can see, let's go to the daily chart real quick. You can see that Bitcoin has closed its first green candle above 50,000 this year, and this actually since 2022. Its first candle above $50,000, that was 3 days ago, and we are still above $50,000. Now I want to go back to look at all the previous cycles of Bitcoin to show you what I'm talking about, these things that happen in all the previous cycles. So I'm going to turn on my drawings here, and I'm actually going to go to the 3-day chart. So what that means is each one of these candles is a time frame of 3 days. Just to condense the data so we can see a little more clearly. So let's go back to the 20. You can see this was like when Bitcoin was barely had any volume, below a cent. But then once we got above a penny, above $1, it started getting some volume. So this is like the first real cycle that we can actually see some good information, kind of what's going on here. And so these 5 steps that I have in these orange boxes here have happened in every single cycle except the one that we're in now. And we're going to talk about that. So the first step, so we have a blow off top followed by a pretty big correction, pretty massive correction here. So this was a 93% correction. Bitcoin lost 93% of its value. And we at least have a 75 to 90% correction every cycle. And so that's why I'm a little confused as why people say Bitcoin is a store of value. Well, a good store of value doesn't lose 75 to 90% of its value. But we don't have to hate too much on Bitcoin in this video. This is really just an interesting examination of some things that are going on. But anyway, so after the correction, we have a nice rally into what I call the emerald zone. Some people call it the golden pocket. It's really just the 0.618 fib to the 0.786 Fibonacci. This is typically where prices go to on almost any crypto or stock. After a massive sell-off, they usually rally back into this emerald zone. And so after our rally into the emerald zone, we usually have a rejection from the emerald zone back out below the emerald zone. In this instance was a 50% correction. We kind of just nicked the 0.5 fib there and then bought back up pretty quickly. Keep in mind, these are 3-day candles. Now after this correction, we usually go back into the emerald zone and then trade there a little bit until breaking out of the emerald zone. But in all 3 cycles, we have the halving, right? When the reward for miners mining Bitcoin gets cut in half about every 4 years. This happens, and this is what the Bitcoin maxis will tell you is driving the price up. The scarcity, Bitcoin's becoming more scarce. And so this is what usually, after the halving, then we usually have the next bull run. And so you can see here, we break out of this emerald zone after the halving. Okay, so this was the first cycle. Let's move on to the next cycle. This was an interesting thing, kind of a weird I guess, black swan event in Bitcoin. Had a 80% correction after Mt. Gox, which was the largest exchange at the time. They just halted all trading. They said, hey, Bitcoin's up too much. We need to let it cool down a little bit. So they said, we're going to have a market cool down. And boom, 80% correction in like 6 days. So that was kind of an anomaly that we won't see in the next 2 cycles. But yeah, you can see here, processor of most of the world's Bitcoins trade. This was in April of 2013. With prices rapidly increasing, Mt. Gox suspends trading from 11th to 12th April for a market cool down. So yeah, it just shows you, like, Bitcoin is not, at least it wasn't back in 2013, is not immune to just massive corrections out of nowhere. Just because of, well, mainly the centralized nature of in 2013 of this exchange, being the marketplace for Bitcoin. If the marketplace where you actually go to buy and trade Bitcoin goes down, well, that's a big risk. And so this is, luckily now we have many exchanges, but it just shows you that Bitcoin is, this was not expected. People, it went down 80% out of nowhere, just because of these guys at Mt. Gox decided, I think it's time for a market cool down. But anyway, back to our charts here. Let's go to the 2014 to 2017 cycle. And so as you can see, this was a much longer time frame of correction. And oh, whoops. Here we go. So all right, so we have our blow off top, right? Then we have our 80%, 85, 87% correction. Then we have our rally into the emerald zone, followed by a 40 to 50% correction. There's your 40% correction. All right, and then we have our breaking out of the emerald zone after the halving. There's their halving right there. Breakout of the emerald zone after the halving, continuation on to the next bull run. All right, same thing in the 2018 to 21 cycle. Blow off top. 84% correction. Okay, rally to the emerald zone. Then we have, in this instance, we had a black swan, beer flu, convid events of March 2020. So this was actually a very severe correction. 71% correction, taking from the top of this rally into the emerald zone. But still, we didn't break out of this emerald zone until after the halving. Okay, so this still follows all previous cycles. Now, let's move on to the current cycle, which we are in right now. Okay, and as you can see, there's a few things going on here that haven't happened in any of the previous cycles. The first one being we did not have our blow off top. This was a double top. We had the first one about 65K, and then the next one slightly higher high at 69K in 2021, followed by a 77% correction. Okay. So after our correction, again, we rally into the emerald zone. Okay, that's done. But this time, we did not correct out of the emerald zone. Okay, we only had like a 20% correction, which did not close any daily candles below the emerald zone. So that has never happened before. Another thing, and probably the biggest thing that has never happened before, is a premature break of the emerald zone before the halving. All right, the next Bitcoin halving is going to be this year, I think around April. I'm not sure what the exact date is, maybe April 24th, or a little sooner than that. But we have broken above the emerald zone and closed daily candles before this, which has never happened in history. Now, People will tell you, oh, it's because of the ETFs. There's more buyers for Bitcoin now because of it's easier to buy Bitcoin from your traditional broker. I do not think this is the case. I think the market is being manipulated. This is a fraudulent market, as we discussed in my part 3 of the 4-part crypto series I did. We have false regulatory clarity with the Bill Hinman speech giving Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is not even legal clarity. This is just some guy's opinion. False clarity as non-securities. And this speech was, I believe, in 2018, which has allowed these two coins with all their problems to remain the top two market cap coins. People not only think that they have this clarity, which is false, but not only that, but we also have Tether. This very, very shady, and with a history, the people behind them have a long history of lying and not being transparent about what this stable coin is backed by. There's never been a real audit done to see if they actually have the funds to back up Tether, and so this Tether allows basically entities behind Tether the power to manipulate markets, to print Tether to buy cryptocurrencies, and also print Tether to short cryptocurrencies, which is kind of what I think has been happening to XRP, which is a far superior technologically and by global adoption than Bitcoin or Ethereum. So we are in currently a fraudulent market, and until Tether goes away, we will continue to have this market manipulation. So we touched on that. Now I want to bring your attention to some very, very interesting data points that I'm now aware of. I didn't find this myself. I actually found this from this guy's video, Crypto Crew University. Everyone is wrong about Bitcoin 100K. This will happen instead. I'll have this video in the description if you want to check this out, just to see where I found this information from. But I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you all. This is the same information. So yeah, this is again a 3-day chart of Bitcoin's all-time history. And guys, this is so interesting. So every cycle, like every bull run, if you take that measurement in percentage gains and then divide that by 5.3, you will get like extremely accurate the next percentage gain for the next bull run. Every single cycle, this has not like 4 times this has happened since Bitcoin's inceptions. And so I don't know why anyone isn't talking about this. Like, there is literally like just this guy who I've heard talk about this. And so let's break it down for y'all so you can see what I'm talking about. But this is so interesting, guys. So and as we know, before I break down the numbers, as we know, Bitcoin has had diminishing returns every single cycle. And so we can't expect this thing to get 300,000% gains every cycle. I don't think it, like, okay, especially with no real utility, makes no sense to me why Bitcoin would go to $1 million, or really even at least not this next cycle. There's Bitcoin maxes out there calling for $1 million Bitcoin 2025, 2026. That just sounds crazy to me. But let's talk about why I think that. And this is like undeniable data from every cycle that shows you that you can predict using this. Like, if you were aware of this after the first 2 cycles, you could have predicted the next 2. that basically tops of Bitcoin. So it's pretty interesting. So let's get into it. So if I measure from as soon as Bitcoin broke above 1 cent, which was also when Mt. Gox was created. That's why we have that big run up there. But as soon as Bitcoin got above 1 cent, we take from that measurement to the top of the next one. That gives us a 328,411% gain. All right, now if we take that number, let's get my calculator out here. All right, so 328,411. We divide that number by 5.3. That gives us, ooh, big number, but 61,000, almost 62,000. All right, so now let's go back to our chart here. If we take the next measure from the low, the cycle low to the cycle high, wow, would you look at that? So from cycle low to cycle high, that measurement gave us 62,000. All right, which is pretty on the nose of, that's basically 62,000 right there. From dividing this number, the previous cycle gains, by 5.3. All right, now let's do the same thing again. Let's take 62,072, divide that by 5.3. What do we get? 11,711. All right, let's see what the gains were for the next cycle. 12,000%. Wow, that's amazing. So as you can see here, by taking from the all-time low to the all-time high, measuring that and dividing it by 5.3, you get the next cycle gain. So let's do it again. All right, we have 12,043 divided by 5.3. 2,272. What was our gains for the next cycle? 2,000%. Very close. Not as close as the other ones, but still, nonetheless, very close. So, I bet you're all wondering what the next target will be for using this principle again. So, let's do it. 2,997 divided by 5.3. That gives us only 395, almost 400% gain. So, if this pattern continues that has been in place since the inception of Bitcoin, that gives us, which we basically measure from the bottom, 400, what was it, 395? I think it was like 395. Okay, so there's 395 right there. About 77,000 Bitcoin. Okay, now what's interesting about this number is that if you draw a trend line from both of these tops right here, that is right around where this 5.3 pattern is predicting the top of Bitcoin to be. Now, keep in mind it's off. It can be off like a few 100%, or a little bit each cycle. It's not going to be 100% accurate. But so I drew this this green box here to give us kind of a general range for Bitcoin for the next top to be for this cycle. The reason why I kind of have this time frame instead of it, getting to 80K around here, or even further, this would be a pretty dramatic move up for Bitcoin. And just imagine the FOMO that would take place if this were to start happening, and everyone talking about 100K, $1 million Bitcoin right before it hits this trend line and gets rejected at the target, which the 5.3 rule has proven every cycle that this kind of range between 77 to let's call it 90K would be your top for Bitcoin. So this also coincides with our solar eclipse in April, and also the halving. And so also the halving, like I want y'all to think about how this narrative would actually play out and why it makes so much sense. All right, just imagine if Bitcoin broke a new all-time high before the halving in April. Now, I mean, yeah, that would be a pretty crazy move up, but people would start going crazy. Um, and so that's kind of why I have this chart over here. Sorry for all the noise and confusion, but you have that same trend line, this purple trend line from the two tops. All right, and then these two. Let me put this on a daily chart so we can see it better. So these two little vertical lines here is your eclipses. So we have our lunar eclipse leading up to our solar eclipse on April 8th. Remember, this is the X eclipse. It's going to make an X of the United States, also tied in with XRP. So, the Omega event, the dollar, like all this stuff is all esoterically connected to each other. So if you're a fan of the esoteric, I hope you appreciate that. If not, well, we'll just have to see how it plays out. But this kind of would be my personal prediction for the timeline of how this would play out. So we'll just have to see what Bitcoin does, in the coming weeks and months. If it continues to stay over $50,000, above this green emerald zone, and continues up into the, maybe as a back test, but continues up into the $60,000, and then we make a new all-time high before the halving. Everyone's going crazy. You could see how this could play out, and then we get boom rejected, maybe around 90K. Solar eclipse, maybe some crazy black swan event happens, and Bitcoin tether collapses, crypto crashes, and then they flip the switch, and then we go to our beautiful friend here, XRP. And XRP, after this big correction, let's say maybe XRP remains like insanely suppressed, like it has been, kind of underperforming recently. But just kind of with the same time frame, let's say Bitcoin continues up to like 80K. What if XRP only gets up to like 65 cents, and then by April we have our eclipse / black swan event, and boom, XRP, it could crash all the way back down to like 33 cents, guys, which would be the best buying opportunity we ever get again. And then they flip the switch. Flip the switch just means they start using it, right? They just start using XRP for global cross-border payments, and then boom, XRP takes off. And another reason why this 33 cent target makes sense is if we do a bearish fib, I believe from here to here. Yeah. So if we pull a bearish fib, you can see the bearish fib works in the same way as bullish, just in reverse. So we have our sell-off, rally, or I guess pull back to the emerald zone. We're going to retest the 0.5 fib to possibly up here the 236, 65 cent, and then we make new time lows. And then the first target is obviously your 1.618, right around 30 cents. All right, which is perfectly in line with this support back here. All right, now imagine how scared people are going to get, guys. If XRP drops below, goes to like 30 cents, people are going to be scared selling, especially if Tether collapse. They're going to be selling their XRP. That is the perfect buying opportunity, because they're going to start using this stuff, guys. It's inevitable. If you've done your research, the connections, how partnered Ripple is with the global and future financial system, quantum financial system. And so everyone's calling for 100K Bitcoin, 500K, a million, 10 million Bitcoin. And so I don't think that's going to happen. And not just because of this pattern that has been in place since, the inception of Bitcoin. I think it actually makes a lot more sense when you think about the broader, you get a 30,000 foot overview of what's actually going on in the global economy. And so I need to make a video about the origins of Bitcoin and its inception, connected like to this 3-letter agencies and some other interesting stuff. But Nonetheless, I believe, and especially since I'm, very deep into XRP and the ISO 222 coins and Basel 3 requirements and all that, and the dollar, what's going on with that, the Federal Reserve, Bitcoin does not have real utility. Okay, it's slow. It takes, sometimes days for transactions to go through on Bitcoin. It's expensive, to use. The fees are much more expensive, well, you're comparing it to like XRP, which is like 3 to 5 seconds for a transaction to go through, and less than a penny. It's like one drop of XRP. And so it's like way a fraction of a penny to transact on XRP. And so without getting like too deep into the weeds of all this, I'm just saying, like, considering how manipulative mainstream media is, they're really hyping Bitcoin up right now. You have these ETFs that have been launched, and after this we're going to go into a little thread that I wrote on Twitter about what I think the real purpose of the ETFs are. I don't think that Bitcoin is going to be the number one coin in 5 years or 10 years. I think there is right now other projects, other cryptos out there that exist with way more utility, way more adoption by the people that will actually be using this technology: banks, financial institutions, governments. And so I think Bitcoin is in some regards a psyop, like a distraction from the ISO 222 currencies, cryptocurrencies, along with gold and silver, precious metals. The Bitcoin maxis talk about, oh, digital gold. Bitcoin is digital gold. And gold is kind of regarded as like this ancient caveman money, Bitcoin has kind of stolen the spotlight from gold. And so in my opinion, Bitcoin is a distraction from gold and the technologies that will allow gold to be that solve the portability, the transportability issues of precious metals, which are basically XRP and other ISO 222 coins. Gold will be tokenized in the near future as a asset-backed digital currency that will probably run on like XRP or one of the other ISO 222 coins. And so Bitcoin is a distraction from that, in my opinion. And so real quick, let's dive into my little thread that I wrote here on Twitter. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, hey guys, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I post almost daily there. Just like, market insights and my thoughts about what's going on. So Master Your Reality on Twitter. If you want to give me a follow there, appreciate it. So something to think about: the true purpose of the ETF and the story of Bitcoin. So if the largest holders of Bitcoin, and you can guess who these people are, right? We're not gonna go into that, but it has heavily to do with the three-letter agencies and dudes with islands who got arrested and might have not killed themselves. But let's not go too much into that. But so you can guess who these people are. You do your research, figure out who was connected to Bitcoin in the early days, and you'll find out who the largest holders of Bitcoin are, the whales, which can be easily disguised with multiple wallets, by the way. So anyway, so if the largest holders of Bitcoin know for a fact that another blockchain will replace it as the largest market cap cryptocurrency, taking the number one king spot, and if they know that this is inevitable, then their primary goal would be to sell their Bitcoin at the highest prices possible before this other crypto rises above it, because they would realize that no one would want to hold or own Bitcoin if another cryptocurrency with real utility and adoption surpassed it. Think about it, guys. If another crypto surpassed Bitcoin and took the number one spot and has real utility and is like known to be a better technology, why would people hold Bitcoin? Seriously, and especially if it's like crazily outperforming Bitcoin, why would people hold on to their Bitcoin? They're going to sell their Bitcoin for this other crypto, right? All right. And I think the largest holders of Bitcoin, definitely know about XRP and the ISOs, and know what's the real plan for crypto is. Okay, so let's continue. Remember, Bitcoin has had 3 cycles, which we just went over, and we are told this correlates with the halving every 4 years. So let's talk about these cycles. For the first bull run, the whales did not need to market Bitcoin. Remember, these largest nefarious holders of Bitcoin, they didn't need to market Bitcoin at all to get to anyone to get a nice pump, right? Only criminals, computer geeks, and friends of computer geeks would buy Bitcoin. This was the 2019-2014 cycle. Now, for the next cycle, they begun to show Bitcoin on the news a little, and the narrative was that this is illegal and stay away from Bitcoin, risky. But this attracted a certain market, the people that are into illegal and risky stuff, while still keeping the masses away, right? So they started to show on the news in 2015, 2018. So that gave them the next pump, and then they dumped on retail at the top, right, as they do. So for the third bull run cycle, the largest holders paid mainstream media to have Bitcoin shown a lot more on the news, and even mentioned some of its outrageous gains it had in the previous cycle. And with the events of 2020, Bitcoin seemed like a great hedge against a rapidly inflating US dollar. This third cycle was when everyone who would get into Bitcoin and crypto got in. Okay? This is when I got in. All right? And this is when it kind of hit the mainstream, mass awareness. Now almost everyone knows about Bitcoin. They don't know what it really is. They don't, have a deep understanding of it, but they're sure aware of Bitcoin. And so this is when, everyone who would have gotten into crypto with the current, financial system that we have got in. All right. So once the largest holders of Bitcoin realized that the market was saturated and can't go much higher with the current investors, they knew they would need to do 2 things to get another bull run pump out of Bitcoin. All right, and this is all the timeline of all this. Go back to my part 3 video where I show you the timeline. Okay, in the past 5 years, from 2015 or more than 5 years, 2015 up to now, they've been getting the real system ready. All right, and I'm sure the largest Bitcoin holders know this. All right, they're getting ready to transition us to an entirely new financial system based on blockchain that will run on the ISO 222 coins. All right, so the largest holders of Bitcoin know this timeline, I think. So their primary objective is to get out of Bitcoin at the highest price possible and then get into the real coins before they explode because of utility price runs instead of speculation. So the 2 things that the largest holders of Bitcoin need to do to pull off to get another bull run pump for Bitcoin, they have to change the narrative and make people think that Bitcoin is here to stay. All right, this is what they're doing now, guys, on the news. All right, we're starting to see the narrative change around Bitcoin. We're starting to see, they used to only talk about it once a week or very rarely. Now they're talking about it every single day. Bitcoin, 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 ETF, digital gold. This is the narrative. The dollar, and the people that are barely paying attention are starting to get into Bitcoin. No offense to any Bitcoin holders out there. I love all of y'all. So the first thing they have to do, change the narrative, make people think Bitcoin's here to stay. The second thing they have to do is make it easier to buy. Okay, none of this separate exchange and no private and public keys. If they need more people to come in, especially the older generation, right, the boomers, the ones that actually have money in our society, saved up for retirement and all that. If they want them to come in, they're gonna have to make it easier to buy. Okay, they're not gonna go in Coinbase and set up an exchange. They have their traditional brokers with Charles Schwab, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, all this stuff. They need to buy it from there. All right, Okay, they're not going to go to KuCoin or whatever to set up a wallet, to buy their Bitcoin. They're not going to buy a ledger, to own their crypto. All right, so they need to make it easier to buy. This is where the ETF comes in. This, in my opinion, is the real purpose of the ETF, to get one last pump out of Bitcoin. So we are now witnessing the fourth and final Bitcoin bull run pump cycle. Mainstream media cannot stop talking about crypto, and with the launch of the spot Bitcoin ETF, the stage is now set for an older generation of investors with larger capital to come in to the market via their traditional stock brokers. I suspect this final bull run will be more short-lived than previous bull runs and could likely see its peak this year or next year. As far as prices go, once Bitcoin gets above 50K, the FOMO will kick in and drive the price up to around 80 to 90K. That's where we got that number from what I just showed you all, the 5.3 thing that the pattern of dividing the gains by 5.3, it gives you the next one. So that gives us the target of really 77K to, I just kind of did 90K, but as a higher price range, maybe 100K, but I don't expect Bitcoin to get much higher than 100K. Allowing the whales to completely exit Bitcoin just in time for this other crypto to take off, XRP, which they have been accumulating. This goes back, they have been accumulating XRP. If it is going to be XRP, they've been accumulating it, and this is why XRP is so suppressed. How is it being suppressed? Well, tether, right? If you can, if you have a money printing machine, you don't care about, hyperinflating your currency. You can print, let's say you want to buy $100 worth of XRP. Well, if you print $200 worth of tether, you can short $100 worth of XRP while buying $100 worth of XRP. And in the end, you'll have to liquidate your short, but it doesn't matter because you got your $100 worth of XRP. Does that make sense? They're shorting XRP at the same time they're accumulating it, which allows the price to, not really be affected by their large accumulations. So, sorry to burst your bubble, but Bitcoin will not get over 100K. But I think I know what this other crypto is. Can you guess? And it's probably XRP. Basically, what we're waiting on now is the collapse of Tether to happen that will probably, cause Bitcoin to crash, and that could honestly create larger problems, systemic problems in the broader global economy, financial system. So this was a little quick thing I want to show y'all. This was a official court complaint in a 539 paragraph complaint, a group of individual investors who purchased crypto commodities. Interesting, they're calling them crypto commodities in this. A class of crypto assets that include Bitcoin detailed a wide-ranging conspiracy to artificially inflate the price of those commodities. The thrust, basically the summary of plaintiff's allegations, is that iFinex, which is the parent company behind Bitfinex and Tether, all these companies that are all connected together, engaged in a scheme to make large, carefully timed purchases of crypto commodities using the fraudulently issued crypto asset called Tether, or USDT, in an effort to signal to the market that there was enormous organic demand for crypto commodities, thus causing the prices of those commodities to spike, and thereby creating a sustainable bubble in the crypto commodity market. Okay, so Tether is in my opinion holding this entire market up, and probably what is creating this premature demand that we're seeing right now in Bitcoin, which is why it is going against what it has done in previous cycles. And so just real quick to kind of get an idea of what Tether is, this was a cool graphic created by this guy XX1331133122111. Sorry, but basically it shows how Evergrande is connected, Evergrande, whatever, is connected into Tether. And so I'll let you pause this video here so you can see how this is all working, but basically it creates a money printer to manipulate Bitcoin, Ethereum. And so once Evergrande defaults, we should expect Tether as well to collapse um, eventually. And that would also cause Bitcoin and Ethereum ERC20s, which have been super manipulated, to collapse as well. Not go to zero, but have a huge correction. And so Evergrande is really this big real estate company is really what's holding this thing up. And so we can, now we see recently, January 29th of this year, Evergrande has been ordered to liquidate. The real estate giant owes over $300 billion. Okay, so the Chinese court ordered Evergrande, the world's most heavily indebted real estate developer. This is the company that's building like all those ghost cities in China, to liquidate $300 billion. So you think they might pull some of that money from Tether? Maybe, guys. But we can speculate what's going to happen to the price of XRP when Tether goes down. If Tether is in fact manipulating XRP to the downside, will this kind of act as like a boot getting lifted off XRP's neck? Could the Tether liquidation be a positive catalyst for XRP? Well, I mean, honestly, in the short term, I hope that XRP goes down so I can get some more at a low price. But in the long term, Tether going away will be very healthy for the overall crypto market, because it's just manipulating it. All right, guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I blew your mind with the information I presented. Anyway, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, master your reality.